Hello, everyone. This is John Arntz again, and welcome to the Business Freedom Formula. Today, I have the honor of having as our guest Dr. Daniel Rubin, better known as Dr. Dan. Hello, Dr. Dan. How are you tonight?
I'm great. It's a
Good.
pleasure to be here. In fact, I'm very grateful to you for giving me this opportunity, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Great. Well, I have a opening question for you. Okay. And that is, are you working on anything really exciting right now in your business or in your calling, as it were?
Well, that in a way that is what I'm working on, which is to continue this personal transformation that has me responding to not the first or second or third, but my fourth calling. um, and make it relate to something I feel really important for me,
Hmm.
and that is to fulfill my mission. I believe we all have a purpose.
Okay.
And about a year and a half ago, I started moving in that direction, getting what I thought was very clear about the what and the why that I'm here. Because
Okay.
I gave up doing what was a passion for me as a
Okay.
teacher online, teaching biology and allied health science. And I thought that was it. I'd
Mhm.
found my passion
Sure.
but it turns out um, that there was more for me to do. And for the second time, I trusted what I now call my calling, the message I got, which is, hey, there's more for you to do while you're still here. And without thinking, I mean, without too much reservation, I just decided to quit teaching without
Okay.
having the next thing.
All right.
Mm, That relates to my belief system and my spirituality, which is what I said. We all have a mission. So I was responding to this inner sense of I'm here for a larger reason. I had already had an impact on several thousand students in my
Okay.
courses. And now it's this I have I have 86 years worth of life on the planet and accumulated experiences of all
Yes. Sure.
kinds that represent what I call what I know as opposed to what I've read. Okay.
Okay.
In the realms where I travel nowadays, you hear a lot of people saying it's not it's what you've learned, what you got in school isn't really what's
Right.
important. What's important is what you know, having lived
Mm-hmm.
just
Sure.
as you have.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm about is now that I'm very clear that I'm here for a reason, that I have something to say that will impact in a major way on the lives of some, but not all, of the people listening to me. And by the virtue of the fact that I'm 86 and I've been
Mm-hmm.
gifted with all this vitality and energy, that seniors are like my target audience. Um, Even though there are other people who I've run across and speak with who've been impacted what I say, but I'm targeting my effort with seniors in mind because it's a challenge. Um,
Sure.
and no one has written a book yet, as far as I know, on what to expect when you get old. You just wake up one day and you're it. And if you
Yeah. You
haven't
realize.
planned on it, I certainly didn't plan on it. It just all of a sudden, it's like I was very athletic growing up and in my young adult years,
Mm-hmm.
became an avid tennis player and then ultimately a bowler. And my body sort of took care of itself.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a program. And all
Right.
of a sudden I wake up one day and my body says, oh, it's your turn now.
Yeah.
You take over, and maintain your health. And now what represents health to me for this audience of older people is multidimensional. It's mental and physical and emotional and even spiritual.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I've learned that extends life is a commitment to your own personal development. You don't give up just because you're suddenly 65 or 70 or 75.
Sure.
Because if you do, you've shortened your lifespan. And
Sure.
if you're just, as many people do, are living on what I call autopilot,
Mm-hmm.
they're not interested. They don't want to know. They don't, no one's even broached the subject of why are you here? That's
Mm-hmm.
when I go to a senior center,
Mm-hmm.
that's the first question I ask. I say, I'm so and so and so and so. This is what I do, why I'm here. We're going to have a conversation. And my first question for you is, why are you here? And I don't mean here in this theater or this meeting room,
Mm-hmm.
because the activities director ran around the halls banging on doors saying, hey, get up to the theater. We have a guest speaker. I'm
Right.
talking
Right.
about you're here on the planet for some reason. You're still alive. And if you're still alive, it reminds me of one of the first books that came to me years ago as I first got into my own personal development by Richard Bach. It's one of those books for me, Illusions. It's one of those books where I could open it up any day to any page, and whatever it said on that page was for me that day.
Okay. Okay.
And one of Richard Bach's sayings is, if you're still alive and wondering why you're here, it's because you haven't fulfilled your mission yet.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that message alone can make a difference. I hope to resonate with somebody who says, look at this guy with all this energy, enthusiasm. Maybe there's something to what he's doing.
Sure. Sure.
Maybe, and I give people, I coach people in that regard. I
Mm-hmm.
give them ideas and tools to make it real that there really is this opportunity to do more and find why you're here and take advantage of that. And there's there's a feedback that happens when you give, and that
Mm-hmm.
is you get back. There's a
Sure.
no Anybody who's done any kind of volunteering knows that giving and receiving are the same thing.
Yes, they are.
In fact, the giver, the volunteer, in my case for sure, often gets more than they give.
I would agree.
So these are the kind of things that seniors can engage in that revitalize them. I've been making one of my more recent new activities is I'm making these little 10 or 15-second videos on social media, and they're
Mm-hmm.
all just little short, catchy phrases like, uh, "Are you lonely? Feeling bored? Call somebody that you haven't talked to in a long time. Cheer them up.
Yeah.
Go out in the garden and putter around.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something you've always wanted to do and didn't think you could?
Mm-hmm.
Now's the time."
Yeah.
You know?
I agree because if there's something you always wanted to learn, like when one of my children was growing up in what I will say the difficult years of being a teen, um, he split his chin right here.
Mm,
Okay. So we take him to the hospital, you know, and this older woman doctor is talking to him. because he didn't want the stitches, and she was trying to explain to him it's going to heal that way and it's not going to be pretty. So she talked him into it. So she was in her 60s. Okay. She came to medicine late in life because she'd
Hmm.
always wanted to be a doctor. And after getting married and the kids were raised and all of that, she said, I'm going to fulfill that which fulfills me. And off she went.
Yep.
And that, and I know what convinced my son. He was, without thinking about it, he was looking at his grandmother saying, you don't want to look like that.
Mhm. Interesting.
Because mom and I couldn't convince him that was not going to happen.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, it took that, and I'm glad. I'm really glad because I think she's the one that impacted that, and he's since healed up well and did fine, and he's got kids of his own, and life moves on. But it's those ideas of what did you always want to do that you never could, that society told you couldn't do, that now society says, why aren't you? You know?
Exactly. Exactly. Um, a lot, it's so much different now. There's so many opportunities for me to earn, for people to, and young people to earn a decent living.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible how many, how many, how extensive the opportunities are.
Mm-hmm.
But we all grew up in that generation where there were some unwritten rules about, you can't, it's
Mm-hmm.
great that you love to draw and paint, but
Right.
you're not going to be able to survive as a
Yeah.
painter.
How are you going to make a living doing that?
That's
Yeah.
exactly, exactly. Oh, I got a story about that, actually, I could tell you.
Well,
That's the
share it,
other thing
please.
I do. I tell stories, which I think also, in and of themselves, can be a lesson learned.
Mhm.
Okay. You want me to just summarize it real briefly?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay.
Please do.
So I came home from college my freshman year, and I got a job on a construction company as a pipe fitter's apprentice.
Okay.
And this company was on one of these contracts where if they fulfill their job on time, there were plenty of bonuses. And it was that time of the contract where all of a sudden they're hiring lots of people because the deadline was near that they had all of a
Mhm.
sudden made it.
Right.
So I was one of three people on a team, a pipe fitter, a welder, and me.
Mm-hmm.
My job, it was at a chemstrand fiber plant. My job was to go climb inside of big pipes and grind down the weld to smooth out the surface.
Sure.
My first job was when I was 11 as a paper boy, delivering
Mm-hmm.
110 papers in the morning and afternoon and making about 12 to 15 bucks a week.
Sure.
This job, we were working overtime hours and getting paid double time. I was making, for me, so much more money. I bought my first car as a result. And I
Sure.
got this idea. I was learning from this pipe fitter and welder. These guys were living for a month on 1 week's pay.
Sure.
So I came home and at dinner one night I said, "Hey, guess what?" Because that's not what my plans for my parents were. I said, "Guess what I'm going to do?" I said, I was like 17, 18 years old. I said, here's what I'm going to do. Instead of going on to medical school and all that stuff, I'm going to learn how to be a pipe fitter or a welder. And I'll make so much money that by the time I'm like 25, I'll be able to retire from that and then go on to something else. Well, you know how that was received.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no way, no way. You can't do that. And a lot of uh, these people, many of the ones I call on autopilot, adults on autopilot, we're all conditioned by our parents, by our
Sure.
teachers, by a lot of influences that are relevant early in life.
Mm-hmm.
But for the lucky people who are into their own personal growth, there comes a day where they stop and say, wait a minute, is this all this stuff still working for me?
Yeah.
Or, now's the time. I had this hobby idea. I love to do crossword puzzles, or I
Hmm.
love painting. And my parents dissuaded me from going on to really, become a painter.
Sure.
But I've always wanted to do that. Well, that's an example of what a senior can do. Say, well, there's nobody telling me what to do now.
Right.
I've always, and I think hidden. That's why I get so excited in a good way talking to these people. It's like, just stop and think about. If they don't, for example, they don't. When I say, "Do you know what your purpose is?" and there's this blank stare, like,
Hmm.
"No, I just worked all my life and now I'm retired." And
Hmm.
so, just stop for a moment and think about the things that you'd like to do, the hobbies you had, things
Hmm.
that you never pursued because someone said, "Nah, you can't support yourself doing that."
Sure.
Now's the time to do those things. It's going to make a difference. And we all have those things.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Things I tried to get my mother to do because I wanted my mother to write down for me a history of my family. Okay. Her her grandfather came over from Poland. Okay. He was in America for a while. His wife passed away. He went back to Poland, married another woman, came back to America. They had children, and that was one of those children was my grandmother.
Mhm.
Okay. And then my mom was born, and my mom grew up like your parents did in the Depression. Okay. That really impacted the way that they lived. And now, unfortunately, everybody in that generation is gone, and I have no idea. I've got pictures of people, I don't know who they are,
You know,
and it's sad because, and so I think, for older people who, especially if they've been recent immigrants or they're second or third generation, write about that. So your great great grandchildren can understand where you came from, where they came from.
there are no coincidences, John.
Right. No, there aren't.
No, this is perfect. You asked me to talk about what am I doing.
Mm-hmm.
I only touched on one of the things.
Mm-hmm.
What you just talked about is near and dear to my heart. It's about telling, this is what I encourage the people that I talk to.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of the answer to the why are you here? I ask a question. I had the same experience as you. I don't have a clue about my parents or grandparents' lives, what it
Mm-hmm.
was like for them growing up.
Mm-hmm.
None of those wonderful stories were passed on.
No, none of them
So
were.
another question I'll ask my audience is I'll say, how many of you are grandparents? No, raise your How many of you have taken the time to sit down with your children and especially your grandchildren, and tell them your story? And how many of you think they don't want to know? And some of them don't. They believe they're not interested in. That's just blatantly not true.
That you're right.
If you ask grandchildren, they're going to want to know. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one of my. It's becoming even more of a major message for me. Is it's part two of one of my talks now. My first part of my talk is living life fully, and I've been talking about that up to
Mm-hmm.
now. The second part is creating a living legacy.
Sure.
A living legacy, not the stuff you leave after you're gone, the property, the whatever.
Yeah.
A living legacy is the story you tell.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be I've written a couple children's books specifically for grandparents who are reluctant to tell their
Oh,
grandchildren their
that's
story
great. That's
because
great.
I believe it's one of the most important things you can do. And I like you, I don't know anything much at all about my parents' early childhood, growing up, or my grandparents. And I'm promoting that as a very fulfilling activity that will sustain a senior
Hmm.
is you don't have to write a book. And now my son has just recently gifted me with an extraordinary program that's available now. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but is it okay if I mention this company by
Sure, go
name?
right ahead. Yeah.
My son has solved my problem. My son recently discovered this program. It's called Rementos. For I believe that's remember and mementos.
Okay.
It's Rementos, or you can write to me and I'll give you. Rementos has is a high tech program that allows anybody easily with ready-made, easy to use technologies to tell their stories. They give you audio and video capabilities. They give you intelligence help. They
Hmm.
give you suggested topics. And in this case, my son gave me the gift, so he suggested topics. I've now I've now created about 30, and I have a whole year to do this.
Wow.
A whole year to do this, responding to their topics, my son's topics, and I'm making these. I've got like close to 30 of them now. Like,
Good.
five to 10, it could be of any length. And you're given the technology to do that. All you have got to do is have a phone, a smartphone, or a computer. For
Sure.
example, I tell the story about my first job, my paper route when I was 11,
Uh-huh.
getting up at 3:45 in the morning and going to this bakery where the smell of fresh baked bread and donuts was
Hmm.
overwhelming.
Oh, yeah.
I tell the stories about, my mom, for example, in the summertime. We were my dad, my brother, and I would be in the living room doing something, listening to the radio or something. My mom would come out carrying a bowl of Bing cherries
Hmm.
that she'd gotten, and she always took one. She'd come out, and there's this expression on her face of, I'm fulfilling my mission as mom.
Hmm.
This marvelous expression on her face, and she would take one cherry and eat it, and then hand over the bowl. And I can't begin to describe the expression of satisfaction and gratitude on her face. So
Hmm.
there's this program for anybody who wants to tell that story and don't think they know how, but they have the information. This makes it so easy, and it can be converted to a book. I'm sure that's what my son's going to do. But every time I do videos, I get three versions. I get the transcript of what I said. I get a third person version, and I get one that's polished up by artificial intelligence. And the number of topics are limitless. And it's not about doing it perfectly. It's just about being yourself
Sure.
with this opportunity to to tell to leave. This is a living legacy.
Sure.
These are the stories that your grandchildren will love to know.
Yeah. And I agree with you, Dr. Dan, because I mean, there's aspects of my family I would like to know about. Um, that unfortunately I have an older cousin, and she may remember a lot of that because she would have been old enough to ask a lot of questions. And then, but see, in 1964, my mother packed myself and my two brothers up in the car and left South Chicago and drove on 64. A single mom with three boys drove to Pasadena, California on old Route 66.
Oh my.
Okay. My mom had guts, and all 5'2" of her. Okay.
Huh?
And I now live in California and have, but I mean, so I was away from the bulk of the family growing up to where I could ask a lot of questions or hear the stories over the dinner table. so I don't know them. But I think
Neither
this
do
is
I.
a great
Neither do
thing
I.
to encourage seniors and those of us who grow who've grown older to relate back to our grandchildren, our great grandchildren. I mean,
Well,
I am.
we share the same message,
Yep.
John. That's a that's a high priority. And when you say it's too late for me, they're gone. There's nobody around.
Mhm.
You just mentioned another parallel too. I can't get over this. She's just recently passed away. I had an older female cousin
Mhm.
who took it upon herself to learn some of those stories,
Oh,
some of that history from the grandparents. But she never shared it.
no. Ah,
I mean, so she died with all that information.
right.
You know, uh, I encourage you as you continue to promote what you're doing here with your podcast to be sure and make that one of your messages because it's I'm reluctant to call it an obligation, or duty. I would rather think of it as a living legacy, which means
Sure.
who you were, what can I tell you that will enrich your life? Because you just started one of your stories. Your
We
mom packed you all up and we headed
right.
for California. So
Yeah.
your grandchildren, how many grandchildren?
Yeah, I have 3, 4, 5, 6.
So you've just told them one of the many stories about what it was like growing up
Sure.
for you.
Mhm.
Single mom. She packed us up with great courage.
Mhm.
Check out Rementos.
I will do that.
You
I
would
actually wrote it down because I'm going to look into that.
you will love it. And in fact, I think it's important that when we're sharing what we know for the benefit of others, to have an impact on other people's lives, when we can talk about our own direct experience,
Mhm.
then our audience is going to get it. It's not hypothetical.
Mhm.
You 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 know, and in your own way, you're doing the same thing I'm doing, only you've decided podcasting is
Mhm.
a way to get your message and you're enhancing it. I'm running into a number of podcasters to do this. They enjoy having hosting people telling their stories.
Sure.
And it's an opportunity for you also. And to make a priority message. Hey, if you I like asking people, why are you here?
Mhm.
It seems kind of silly, but it relates to the more, it's very serious on the one hand, but it's also easy, you know. And to know another one of my major themes that I talk to about is gratitude.
Mhm.
Gratitude has changed my life. It's an integral part of my life, and I practice it all the time. And I give speeches just about that because it's another activity that I believe everyone should engage in. It can make a huge difference in your life
Yeah.
and get people thinking about all the little things that make a difference. And it can rescue someone from being stressed out or overwhelmed by having a bad day or getting cut off in traffic by somebody.
Sure.
You know,
Sure. I
gratitude is next to love, in my view, is the most powerful emotion and practice that anybody can have. So that's another one of my life enhancement suggestions for people. As if you so when I leave an audience, the takeaways are show up. You have to show up.
You have to show up.
You have to show up. You have to be aware. You have to be curious
Mm-hmm.
and be interested in your own personal development and do those things, exercising your brain as much as your body that will not just sustain you, but invigorate you.
Sure.
Um, it's, you've got the same thing. This energy and enthusiasm we have is infectious.
Yes, it is.
And that's part of why we're doing it. Well, the other another one of my key takeaways is just be yourself.
Yes. Mm.
Just be yourself. You don't have to do anything. Just be who you are, and you'll have a much more joyful and fulfilling life. And part of the reason for that is knowing that you're making a difference.
Yeah.
I think if there's one message, I'm just off the top of my head, if there's one message that I want seniors to know, it's not just that the best years are yet to come. It's to know that they make a difference.
Sure.
And
Sure.
telling your story is a great way to make a difference. I think, you agree with me. I mean, children, grandchildren are thirsty for that.
Yes, they are.
And um, we're both stuck with not knowing.
Yeah.
But you can make a difference by telling your story and sharing it.
Mhm.
And now that you have um, this is just a suggestion for you.
Sure. Sure. No, I get it. I get it.
You
Well,
you
Doctor,
you could you could how often do you do a podcast?
oh, I do. I'm usually doing 3 to 5 a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how about, well, you're already doing it. Uh, but you could make one of those 3 to 5. We're going to tell our story today.
Mm.
So you invite people who have a story to tell,
Yeah.
and it may be someone who's never shared it with anyone or their
Sure.
children. And it would also give you a chance, also as the host, to throw in a few of yours,
Sure.
like you just did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And well, I loved it because there's so many things that we have in common that we didn't know about.
Oh, yeah.
And I again, I'm so grateful for this opportunity. And
Well, you're very
I hope
welcome.
your audience appreciates what you're doing as
I'm
I
sure
do.
they do. I'm sure they do. Well, Dr. Dan, if anybody who listens to this wants to learn more about you and what you're doing, you have a website, correct? That they can
Yes,
go
I
look
do.
at.
It's yeah, if you can publish it, it's my
I
name.
will put it in the description, but
Yeah, okay. It's danielrubin.net.
Daniel Rubin.
DanielRubin.net.
Okay.
And
Well,
my email address, if anyone's interested, is
Rubin.
daniel@danielrubin.net.
Okay. Well, Dr. Dan,
So that's for people more on what I'm doing in details. It's also a place they can go to invite me to speak
okay.
or to purchase my book
Mm-hmm.
or to get a free 30 minutes of coaching from me.
There you go.
In fact, I would, if you don't mind, um, offer to anybody listening who's so motivated to contact John and have him let me know. I will give you 30 minutes of free coaching.
There you go. That'll work. That'll work. Well, thank you for that offer, Dr. Dan. we've got to wrap this up. I appreciate your time tonight, sir. This was a wonderful experience for me, and I wish you the best in your business.
Well, thank you so much, John. It's been my pleasure, and this is what I call a gratitude moment for me. You've just gave me another one, and I really really appreciate your creating this opportunity, and I certainly likewise wish you the best of luck in your pursuit of what you're doing here. It's you matter, and it's gonna continue to make a difference. So thanks again for inviting me.
You're very welcome. Thank you again, sir. Good night.
Good night.